Good morning. Pretty quiet. What we're in for more quiet doldrums or the like I said, the calm before the storm here. I think it's more the quiet time. And we're in almost the end of June. Unbelievable, huh? So what we got here. So things played out in the scenario that I made a thought about happening down here last week when it gapped down. We got the reversal day and it got negated, which set up what typically sets up a measured move when a shallow retracement within an uptrend. It had the gap down below the low. It tried to recoup, and that would have been a good pattern if it could have closed deep into that bar's range, but of course it couldn't do it. So ultimately, we're looking for it to come down here, which would be great if it does, because that's where the support is. And I put a line chart up here just to take away any noise that may take away from what's directly to the left. And it's not that it's a significant level of support, but you shouldn't need a significant level of support with an upward move like that. So coming down into here with a rising 20 MA, there's a rising 50, there's a pivot low here. There's about a week of congestion, side price action, red bars ignored. There should be buyers down here. And when prices get there, assuming that they do, we'll look for, could be something like this, a pattern like that. Where's this? Yeah, could just be a V bottom pullback. It could pop up like this, and jiggle around. But we would assume that if it comes down here, and we'd like that to happen in a fluid manner. And that what that means is that it comes down bar by bar with lower bars, highs and lows, and comes down here and then begins to settle down versus, it comes up at the beginning of the week, and then rolls back over again, which could be okay, a lower high, lower low, but the more fluid one would be much better, that it wouldn't leave any overhead congestion. We're just gonna have to see how it plays out. Right now, let's say we're in the middle of no man's land, so to speak. It's not pulled in deep enough to make buy setups attractive. Buy setups haven't even formed yet. So I mean, I saw a couple over the weekend, but there weren't really very many. No, Robert, it doesn't mean controlled from big money managers. When we say fluid, we just talking about the arrangement of the bars, meaning they open in the area of the prior bars close and they continue to move down. They open in the area of the prior bars close and they continue to move down, versus something like this, which is not fluid at all. Right? This is what's called uncertainty, where it dips down and up and bottoming tail bars, and it looks like it's going to go down and it goes up, and deep retracements. So this is more of confusion. This is a picture of certainty, and fluid is a picture of certainty. And so you want to see profit taking in a fluid manner into an area of support, rather than something like we saw last week, which I warned of, that it could be a failure, a turn failure. Why? Because things were a bit extended. The retracement wasn't deep enough. And that's typically what happens. So what we do is we look at historic patterns and we say, hey, will this recurring pattern occur again today? So that's all I'm explaining. Is that the recurring pattern of a fluid move would be nice for it to come down here and then, have a few days of consolidation and then back up again. All right, looks like my internet is blipping here. There we go, where e-signal was. All right. Suppose we look at the S&P futures, and you can see, the bar that formed on that day, it opened up pretty much flat, and then it went down, and we got just a go nowhere bar today. So the idea of, hey, is this the summer doldrums or the calm before the storm? But this kind of pattern typically, will come down to a lower level. And so you can see the congestion is here. And this is a good representation of what we call a void. It gapped up, and look at the fluid movement up. There's a little wiggle right there on that bar at the tail, but see, it opens in the prior bars close and moves up, opens in the prior bars close, opens in the prior bars close. That wiggled around, opened in the prior bars close, and then it moved up. So here you've got a little, try to make the turn, and it fails, and somewhere it'll typically come down into here, where there's some congestion, where buyers are more likely to set up, because anyone looking at a chart, whether they put fib lines, whether they put moving averages, whether they put VWAPs, whether they put trend lines, GAN lines, whatever, look, they can't get around, looking to the left in the end and getting honest in some way and saying, hey, that's where there was resistance and now it's support. And they're happy when their magical lines line up with all of that. So, void, you can see on the line chart, that fluid move, no congestion, and you'll see how far it pulls back into this area, okay? Which leads us to SPX. And what we look for is premium in an area of support, far away from current prices. Pretty simple stuff. And so here's your congestion. It's got 4,300. Great. 4,300. If there wasn't really enough premium there. I thought the same thing, Jake. You like there to be the whole number, kind of makes it a no-brainer, because there's going to be buyers there. Even if you take some heat, it'll be okay. 65 by 75. It's doable. It's doable at 4,300. 05 is 85 by 95. But look, you've got this congestion here. You've got the rising 20 MA. That's a long distance to get down there in a day. Things are starting off quiet here, and I think that should be a no-brainer. 4,380 is the top of Thursday's bar, which it's a little close, but these close ones have been working out. And the 4,380, you can see the I'll take away the line chart. You can see the congestion there. So you've got this lines of defense there with these pivots right up there. So that should be fine as well. All right. Qs. And so one of the mentions over the weekend was all of these leaders, Meta, Google, Apple, all the typical suspects, that had reversal days on Thursday. Microsoft had a bar more like this, didn't go anywhere. But breaking below Thursday's low in those very strong leaders can be a bit of a heads up that institutions are selling a little more aggressively and prices coming down toward these areas of support. And just before I started talking, I heard what Goldman Sachs downgraded. Tesla. They downgraded Tesla to neutral. And I think someone downgraded Google this morning. UBS downgrades Google. So some kinks in the armor in those leaders. Keeping that in mind, and look at this level here and the Qs of 360. Pivot, 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 and you can see the topping pattern. And so you've got this area of congestion, which is now, if it breaks here, supply to push prices down into this area here, which, within this uptrend is really no big deal. It would have to break below this level here to violate the uptrend, and that's a pretty nice area of support. So I suspect whatever happens over the beginning of this week, it'll be a grind down there where traders will want to step up. And that won't be a great pattern on the weekly, but it should be a tradable event, because even coming down here on the weekly, what we're going to have, and I'm glad it's not breaking down here, but this is a breakout bar failure pattern, what I call it. You got a little congestion, you got a wide range bar breakout, and you've got an inside bar. And when it breaks the low, it's a signal to take your money. If you bought down here, and breakout bar failures is a signal not to short, but take profits. And even up here, we covered last week, it's up in resistance. Owning something like this is like a perfect scenario for selling a covered call in a stock. All right. So you can see the reversal day on Friday. Nothing's happening here right now. We've got a red bar on the weekly after a run up, in a wide range bar. We would suspect it's going to break the low and, pull back. Common sense patterns, nothing esoteric. The Russell was surprised it came down as hard as it did. I thought that, getting up where it did is the way it did certainly was encouraging. Good sign for the markets that small caps started to perform well. That came down real hard, and we'll see if it holds in this converging moving averages. This cluster of overlapping bars right there. The Dow is up against a lot of resistance. You can see all those pivots up there, and you can see them on the the regular Dow chart. Just lots of resistance there, and so this pulling back to those converging moving averages, and notice it violated this pivot. And this is one of the things when prices are pushing up and you think, oh, as this is a continuation pattern, it just doesn't make a lot of sense to do those kind of continuation patterns when you've got a big significant resistance area over there to the left. And so it pivoted, and now it's broken below that, so violating the uptrend. But there's some support there and moving averages. So it'll be interesting to see if this can try and make a turn at these MAs or not. Internals, nothing to go on here, no alignment. So that doesn't give us any advantages. We talked last week about the dollar flipping up and interest rates. I think Powell will be talking this week. One of the days there's some inflation data coming out. So you'll want to keep an eye on this 13-week to see which way it goes. The 10-year is just not moving, just going sideways pretty tight. And you can see the breadth deteriorating. It never even got great on this move up, which is a concern, because everybody says, oh, it went up 20%. Oh, we're in a new bull market. Well, there's no denying the price is going up, but you'd like to see internally that there's some strength there, and there just wasn't. And I mentioned in the weekend letter here was, as this pulls back, what we want to see on a day-to-day basis is what I'd want to see is this advancers minus decliners poking down below this minus 1500 area, which could give us, hey, that this could be the turn point. And you can see how getting down there is kind of a climactic kind of, for this internal gauge to tell you that things were so negative that day, they'll likely make a turn. Interesting, the VIX here went down on that up day, and now it's flipping up. So it really has been moving down steadily. It looked like it was headed toward 10, but here we've got a little breakdown failure, and it's just touching my alert there this morning. So I want to see if this begins to pull back, this VIX starts going up, and we'll just have to, see where it stops. There's a little congestion there, and ultimately 20. So if this correction got a little more aggressive, you'd want to set an alert up there in that 20 area. So just, set an alert on that line. That's what I'm doing there. It's already set when I put the line there. So that's all good. And what else? Bitcoin. I mean, that was what a crazy move coming out of there. Kind of possibly a breakout bar failure. This bar would have to be complete, but it is at this pivot high. You just always look to the left there. The dollar not doing much. I already looked at that. Currency's not doing much. Isn't much of anything really going on here this morning. I guess is traders just wait for some news or wait for things to pull back in some manner and get ready for probably a buy setup. This little congestion here holding up really well. The transports, those cruise lines, those airlines, they're holding up. We'll see if they can continue to do so. They're pretty extended. Just an example of what I mentioned with these leaders. Thursday was a wide range bar. You get a wide range bar and it's just consolidating, but it should not break below the low. I'm not saying it will. I'm just giving you a very obvious line in the sand in these leaders that, and this one is being more obvious that it could break. It even looks like it's below that, but maybe more so, which has been very strong. This one broke out on Friday and it's, had a hell of a run. So breaking below Thursday's low is going to leave a new high failure. So just something you don't have to watch it, set an alert. And if you start seeing those alerts start clicking off, well, you know for sure that institutions are selling the leaders and they'll show up again in them. But, right now in the short term, we want to be aware if they are or not. And I'll show you Google. That's already rolled over. That already started rolling over. But Thursday, it's got a big wide range bar there. So set an alert, and then we'll go about and look at the other things that are doing well or not. A lot of semiconductors started having deep retracements last week. So there was a lot of internal weakness last week, but looking at the broader markets, they still look, well, the Qs and the spiders still look pretty darn good. All yours, Dan.
Hey, Greg, before you go, look at Lily. I had an alarm go off. We
Nice.
look at that big old gap up. We just have a put spread is all, not a directional. But I think Alex might be long it. Nice gap up for bullish trades there. Oh, good morning. So even though not much is going on in the broader markets, I have a monster watch list. More longs than shorts, but I was still expecting more of a retracement in the broader markets. So yeah, we'll be looking to get out of Lily here. I'll see what the spreads are at the open. Spiders, I actually was trying to put a call spread in our letter, but with VIX so low, over Thursday's high to sell a call spread was like 7 cents. I'm like, are you ridiculous? And that's been a problem of selling premium, but also we're since last month was a quarterly expiration. There's a lot of compelling patterns that just don't have weekly expirations, unfortunately. Yeah, Greg mentioned cruise ships. Oh, this was up earlier. Look, it's taking a little nosedive right now. All right, so that now looks like a short-term top. Now, I guarantee you it's another candidate for a call spread, gapping under last week's low. But with 99% certainty, there's going to be no juice at 1650. If someone wants to look at the market open and prove me wrong, I would love that. AAL. Yeah, I'm just not chasing these airlines. I mean, we were stocking them here. I remember Delta, United, Hawaiian Airlines. I mean, we talked about a lot of them there, including jets. We gave jets to our ETF trader. All right, so there's no earnings. So let's just go right into my watch list here. I'm free. That is a beautiful pre-market consolidation pattern. Now, when I trade gaps, if it's liquid like this, I use this pattern identical as if the market were open. So that's a gap breakout, range expansion, bullish consolidation in the upper 90%. So the only fly in the ointment is it's a big old gap here from 370 to this prior high. But let's keep an eye on that. Wolf here, middle chart. They got one of these funds are investing some money in them. So set an alarm. Well, I have it right here, but let's see, Thursday's high. All right, so it's gapping over Thursday's high. This is a buy setup with a 3-bar turn. So that looks good. I got Wolf over here. We'll watch. Look at Mercy gapping down. You know, we call these potential gap and snaps, and you need a climactic buy setup and then a big old gap down. And then, you know, I call it potential is because I have no idea if it's going to bounce. But the pattern suggests it's a short-term exhaustion gap. So that's bottom right. Let's see how that plays out. Lou Hernandez and TLT and Snap. I saw TLT was up today, which means interest rates down. It's coming in here, neutral, no pattern. I mean, it would be a long pattern over Friday's high. Now it's coming back into the range, but it's not a great pattern. You know, you don't have good void. Snap. Yeah, Snap. It broke out, not a great void again, meaning you look to the left and you got a lot of football players over there. You got a lot of football players here. So I just think, unless you're talking about a put spread under Thursday's low, which would be totally fine. It's gapping down here a little bit, 1080. Well, it's actually flat, 1081. Let me look real quick to see if there's any premium. But with the low VIX, I would venture to say no. Snap for Friday, $10 puts. Aces there. $10 puts, 5 cents. See what I mean? So the pattern's there to sell a $10 put, but do you want to put on a trade for 5 cents? It just doesn't interest me. AI, this is just, you know, AI got everything going. You know what jumped out at me at this chart is look at the crazy volume spikes. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen a volume chart like this in my life that is like it's in a coma. And then these volume bars are so high, it's squishing these bars to almost non-existent. I mean, look at that. It's over 65 million shares. So this thing trades very wildly, but it's the new thing. And, you know, people chasing AI stuff. So I'm going to watch it every day. It's one of my normal suspects now. All right, LCID just looks like it's going to zero. And they did some deal with Aston Martin getting a little gap up here to $6. I just don't have any interest in that. I mean, you might get a day trade scalp, but that's garbage. Oh, this was the one. This is a bio. Now this is a bearish pattern, daily, weekly, but it's a bio, and look at it gapping down to 333. That's whenever we rarely trade bios, but if we do, we give it a big old disclaimer talking about the gap risk. Meds gap, wow, from 8 and change to 20. Well, I mean, it has room to go higher on the monthly, but that is a monster gap up. I'm going to put that in a window. Another computer. That could definitely set up a day trade short and a call out of the money short call spread if there's any juice. Here, I'm gonna get our subscribers on notice of this. Lily will be looking to close out our put spread into strength. Let me just send them a quick little telegram. You know what I just say? Just bid 2 cents to get out, and we'll see what happens. All right, Dish. Man, I thought this was a real company. This looks like a core short right here. It's a head and shoulders in a downtrend. You got head, which is a breakout failure, left shoulder, right shoulder, neckline, closing breakdown. That's actually also a great example when we're going to be talking about multiple time frames and MT Live in a couple of weeks. This is a great example of looking at the daily and weekly. Let me email myself this symbol so I can do a lesson on it. All right, Tesla. Yeah, Tesla had some news. I forget. What's this nonsense about Musk wanting to fight the the Meta guy? This I don't even know what to say about that. Is it just political drama, or are they really talking about that? All right, so Tesla, we did a beautiful call spread here on this 180 reversal from a Climo, so that's definitely a short-term top. Greg mentioned about Google. Yeah, Tesla got that downgrade from Goldman. Well, Goldman's like the third one that's got on the bandwagon. They've had a couple of downgrades just based on moving too much. But at least I respect them for doing it after a big run like this, not doing a downgrade here but the low. Stavros, Pfizer, gapping. All right, JW alarm. This down. Gapping down to 37. Wow, that's a big gap down. This. I'm just writing these alerts down 1 second. Doe up alarm. I know, Sam, that's on your list. CWST. I'll get to these. I'm just writing them down. All right, so gap down to 37. Yeah, so it's 100% a watch. Stavros, there's nothing to do now because I have absolutely no idea what's going to happen here, and that's the beautiful thing of technical analysis. We just sit back and watch. We watch where supply and demand is going to step up. All right, so let me put that in a window though, but yes, that's a definite candidate. Once it stabilizes, or let's I put it in a window. Let's just watch it. All right, Sherwin. Yeah, that's bullish. Daily, weekly, monthly. Absolutely. Absolutely. It was kind of a bull rectangle, big old flagpole. Look here, bullish weekly, monthly. Yeah, it looks great. CWST alarm. That's a short idea under the low on DO, top of the range, nothing to do. Shop buy setup over Friday's high. I like. I'm going to set an alarm 63.85. SSNC buy setup that triggered. Sam, I got that off your list. We're going to do a half lot. 58.57. I like daily, weekly, monthly on this. ATVI alarm. That's a beautiful 1, 2, 3. Let's see. What trade did I give? I forget if it were stock or option because it depends on. Yeah, okay, we bought the stock 82.41. I think I did a put spread too. All right, so ATVI